Okay, welcome to my tutorials on Unreal 227i patch features, and we will start from particles, which I actually love. So I've got my scene ready here already, and we will start from basic particle emitter, not the basic mesh particle emitter, which is my favorite, and I think one of the most powerful. So I will just spawn my particle emitter. You can see that I've got my scene rolling, and when you open the properties of the mesh emitter, you'll see there are many things that you can do with them. We'll cover the basic ones here, which are in every particle emitter. I don't know all of them. I don't know what combiner does, and I didn't play with sound. But we might try to cover that later on. Okay, we will start from the position. The position of this is the position on which the particles will spawn. You've got the box location, sphere location, cylinder location, box sphere location, box cylinder location. Okay, so starting from box location, you can use maximum and minimum properties. So 128 minus 100, so on the x-axis emitter will spawn particles 128 to minus 128 units, and the same goes to y and z. You can also make them spawn from the axis where the particle emitter is upwards. Okay, this is that, and the other one is sphere. Spawning position type, so it's gonna spawn in a sphere-like shape, and if you set both ranges to 128 or so, it's gonna spawn particles on the surface of the sphere. I'm gonna do this. This is in general settings. You've got the max particles amount. I'm gonna make them to 500, and in the visuals you've got starting scale, which is, you know what. Okay, let's go back to position. So you can see it's like this. Now, with a cylinder, it's pretty much the same. You can start from 0, then it's gonna spawn a cylinder from the center to the edge, and on the edge only like this, or more or less on the edge. I love this on the edge thing. And the thing that you notice that when I moved particle emitter, it spawns particles and they stay behind. This is a cool effect which can be used in many ways, but if you use relative location, every particle will be sticked to the particle emitter. Even if you rotate the particle emitter like this, it's just relative position. The other thing that you might want is relative to rotation. So the particles will be spawned but not sticked relatively to emitter's location. So you can make effects like this later on if it will rotate or something like that. Okay, let's reset that. Okay. And there are two more, box sphere and cylinder sphere. It's just using the box location as a stretching the sphere from its center in any direction. So if I use something like this, you can see that it uses the sphere on the edges and box in the center. Same as with cylinder. Box sphere, cylinder sphere, so you can see how stretched it is. But if you do the X, it's gonna stretch the cylinder like this. Okay, that would do as it comes to the position, I think. Spawn offset multiplier, just stretching, so making in terms of sphere ecliptic shapes. You can see that here. it's gonna do the same with cylinder. Okay. Now the second thing we are going to cover is the speed. The speed is the actual speed of the particles. As you can see, I've got the same box, sphere, cylinder, and box, cylinder. It works more or less the same. The particles will move either with a speed you set the limits here. It's maximum and minimum limit of the speed, so the particle will have any speed between these two numbers. But there's one very particular thing I love. When you set the sphere velocity and you set the velocity like here, every particle just goes anywhere it wants with the speed not bigger than 128 in a direction. But when you set range based on position, it goes like this. So the velocity, the direction of the speed is based on the angle from the center of the particle emitter. So if I do 128, 128, they will spawn on the surface of the sphere and go outwards, something like that. But that's not all. I can use, I'm gonna set it on 1. I can use acceleration. So the particles will accelerate in some kind of manner. You can see here, like this. There is no acceleration based on sphere. That's not that good, but it doesn't matter. I think I can use velocity loss rate to do that. Yes, I can. So my particles will speed up. You can see that quite a bit from the center. Okay. And then you can set it the same with all the other. I'm gonna use sphere and leave the 1-on-1 sphere velocity with the range based on pause. You'll see later why. Now the other thing we're gonna cover is the rotation. The rotation is quite simple. You've got the desired rod facing camera, so all the meshes will face the camera, as you can see here, and toward the camera. So the pitch stays the same always. You can see here, more or less. I hope you can see here. Okay, we're gonna stay with desired rod, and then I can make them rotate anywhere I want. For example, oh, you set the limits other way. No, it doesn't matter actually. There is one more thing I love. Initial rod is the rotation that the particles will have when they spawn. So, for example, is 45 degrees, I think, 1.125. Yeah, it's 45 degrees, more or less. But there's one thing I love relative to move there. I left the relative to location move speed to 1, and when I set this, look, they spawn on the surface of a sphere and keep their rotation relative to the sphere's surface. That's quite a cool effect. You can use that later on. Okay, let's leave that this way. Now we can go now to the visuals. The visuals are how the particles look like actually, but that later. First, mesh. What kind of mesh we want to use? I'm gonna use from Unreal Share. It's gonna be arc mesh. This one, I love it. It's one of the most useful meshes I can use. And you can see I've changed the mesh, but there's no texture. We need to set the texture. So we use visuals and particle textures. I can use 15 textures randomly set. And I'm gonna use Unreal Share and arc textures because they are pro. Give me a second, I'm gonna set those like this. Okay, that's enough. And you can see that my particles are spawned and facing outwards. I can make less speed. Yeah, and this way you can see how it looks like. I'm gonna increase the size of the particles. Again, visuals and starting scale, I'm gonna increase it to 1. No, I think that's too much. 0.5 would be okay. Now, they just appear and disappear. I don't like that. I would want them to fade, so we are going to use fade function. Fade in max amount is the maximal amount that the particles will fade in, and fade in time, the time in which the time the particle the time it takes for the particle to appear. So 0.2 is 0.2 over its lifetime, and fade out time, the time in which the particle is in its maximum brightness state. So let's say 3, so they will appear and disappear like this. Okay, now we might try doing something completely different. We might go back to visuals and then change the scale 3D range, Y and Z. See how they are more pointing. You can see that. I'll increase the brightness of the particles like this. We might go to speed scale. No, sorry. Where is it? Sphere velocity -1 so they will go inside, as you can see, and increase the speed scale. No, speed scale is the timing, so in a time velocity will change. So at 0 it's 1, at time 0 the velocity is 1, at time 1 it's 5, 64. They go faster and faster inside, you can see here. I'm gonna also play with scale, that is time scale, same thing. At time 0 it's 0.1, at time 1 it's 2. Like this. Pretty cool effect, must admit. Okay, I think we will stop here. No, not yet. I'm gonna add one more thing. I'm gonna add rotation. Rotation per second. Like this. They will rotate. Okay, and this would be it. You can see here how it looks like. It looks quite cool. I won't show you it. I won't show it to you in game. I will do one more thing. Sorry. Like this. And then in general I can decrease the life of a particle. Okay. Got some kind of force field going inside of the particle emitter. It looks quite nice, I must admit. Okay, this would be it for today. Next tutorial I will try to post you tomorrow. We'll play with velocities and maybe collision. I don't know yet. So yeah, good luck, have fun, see you. That was Z-eNzYmE. Bye.